All right, episode 8 of the Jolly Chamber podcast. And on today's guest, we have FoundMyExit. Welcome to the channel, mate.
Good to be here, Jolie. Nice to meet you.
There
is a face behind the mask, I promise.
I was waiting for the waka 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 waka.
I could do it. I've got it somewhere here. I could definitely pass it past the camera.
Oh, love it. Well, that's a good opening. Where'd you start with that? How did you figure that was going to be your intro for your videos?
Mate, it was completely random, to be honest. I was like early days not knowing, where you start and what you do. And I had it obviously sitting there. I had actually other Pokemon like squishy little stress balls, right? And I had one next to me and I think I threw it in a video or something. And then I had one of the other videos and I did it just past the camera. And like, not many people were viewing the videos back then. It was like, maybe 100 or something like that. And like, honestly, 10 or so people were like, that is the funniest thing ever. You have to do that. And then like, it just became a thing, right? And once I started doing it, I was like, it's just there to stay. And most people find it funny. Some people are like, it's cringe, but whatever.
It's cool. It becomes your thing, right? And it's something that you didn't even have to really think of. And then the audience makes it your thing as well, which is even better, I think, in a way, isn't it? Than you trying to force something. Yeah. But
no, definitely.
But first of all, congrats on 5K. You smashed that out of the park, and you're almost on your way to 6K. I just checked today. You're on like 5.5 already. So, and you did your big. You had a big week. You had a big weekend. You had the. Not only was it your 5K, it was just big celebration for that, but it was also the face reveal, which is obviously. How exciting is that? How exciting is that to have a big mystery behind your channel, and then bang, here it is, guys.
Yeah, it was kind of like, things just happen and roll on in such a way that you just let them happen and have to be kind of done in that fashion, right? Like, I didn't intend for it to kind of grow to where it has. Like, obviously I wanted it to, but the way that it's kind of grown that quickly, the stream was chaos. Like, obviously, everyday life's busy, man. So it's like, I just was so busy that it just happened so quickly, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So really it was like 5K's happening. I committed to the stream. We're at 5K, let's set it up, get the PC. Obviously with the PC you have the ability to do the face cam that I didn't have before, so now it's just like, it was crazy, man. It feels like a dream.
So going forward, do you do the face full time, or do you just save it for live events, or do you do it in the videos, or what's the goal here?
It's a tough one because I want to deliver on it, right? But like, the only way I've been able to deliver on doing consistently 3 videos a week is simplicity, right? And you see it in my videos. There's no real jazzy edits. There's no craziness. And, I mentioned to you already, and like some people know, I've done all of that on my phone, right? Like, everything has been done on my phone. The filming, the editing, the uploading, all of that, right? So that's given me the ability to kind of commit to that schedule and delivering that content in that way. It's so much easier, right? So don't get me wrong, I want to bring the face cam in and I want to make it permanent in all the videos, but now moving into that world of on the PC, a stream's easy, right? You do the stream, you set it up, well, easy in the uploading sense and not having to edit sense, but like, if I do that and film and then need to edit on my PC, it's like a lot more, I'm stuck in this spot. It needs to become something bigger. So definitely want the face cam to continue and be a part of everything, but it's like, how I get there to that point is probably the question mark.
Yeah. Well, I kind of want to go backtrack on what you said there, because you've done everything on your camera, just on your phone so far, and it has completely worked out. Because my question basically is, it seems like you've done everything that shouldn't work, if that makes sense. Like, when I first started the channel, or when most people think, they go, okay, I've got to do the face cam, I've got to have the big intro, I've got to have, the 2 cameras and all that. You've done it with your phone, and you've stayed pretty, like you said, you've been consistent at it, and the quality's been there, but you haven't, like you said, you haven't jazzed it up, but it's still worked. Yeah, people love it. It's done everything that it shouldn't do. That's fantastic. Yeah. And like you say,
and that's like what I take away from it is like, and we probably step into another question, which is like the channel and how it started and all that kind of stuff, right? But like, I wanted to just be able to, like, how many people do Pokemon videos, right? Like
Yep.
there are so many people and so many people who are great at editing. So it's like, how do you bring something new into that world? So I kind of took it from that angle of like I don't overhype in my videos. I don't necessarily. It's not jazzy as I mentioned before. It's like a lot of my earlier videos and a lot of the long form is literally just one take. Like, sure, I
Yeah.
might cut out or fast forward a part in the middle where I'm just like rummaging through stuff or breaking boxes down, but it's like it's one take. So like I always wanted people to know that there's no BS, right? Like it's what you see is what you get. Like that's the real part of it. And like um that is something that I realized people gravitated towards, and the people who have kind of like supported the channel have been those ones that wanted something different too. Like, there are so many people out there that have the facilities and the time to edit amazing videos. I don't have that, right? So it was kind of the way that I thought I can do something. And I've always had a policy of being like, I don't want to judge or make comment on where I'm at until I've made like 100 videos, right? 100 was always the goal I had in my head. I'm like, after 100, I'll guess things. And that's where it kind of led into that snowball effect where things just started taking off in a direction that I was like, well, you just keep on it, right? Like, don't change it. If it's not broken, don't fix it, right? So that led to that. And it probably like goes hand in hand with the channel and like why I started it and all those kinds of things.
Yeah.
If you want to go down that rabbit hole, it's kind of
Well,
like a,
I
a bit of a long story, right?
well, I do want to go down that rabbit hole actually because I do want to know. You started about a year ago, I think. It was only just over a year
Yeah,
ago now. So
yeah, about a year and a month ago now. Yeah.
yeah. So how did you start it?
So, it goes hand in hand with like my collecting and like what that world has been, right? So, a bit of a long story, but feel free to jump in with anything
No,
you want to drill
go
down
for it,
on
bro.
through it. I mean, we have to like rewind all the way back to like 2016, 2017, right? I, like anyone who was kind of in that early Pokemon era that grew up with like base set, right? And the early days of Pokemon, was into it as a kid, had a binder, all that kind of stuff. Um, Turned into a teenager, forgot all about the whole world of Pokemon and went into other things, right? And then had that time around 2016, 2017 where I dug up and found my childhood binder, right? And it's like you open this thing up and it's just like smacks you in the face, the nostalgia of like all this crazy stuff. You've got like, I had like Japanese base set, like shadowless base set, like so many cool things in there that were just, incredible hit of nostalgia. And I like that pulled me back into it a little bit, right? And then that was around the times of generations and, evolutions, right? Like a
Yep.
huge influx in Pokemon, like probably the earlier influx before the real boost of like the pre-COVID kind of jump that
The Logan
Pokemon
Paul
took.
era.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That second wave, right? Like this was like Pokemon Go and like all that stuff, right?
Yep.
So there's just a lot of things that pushed me back into it at that point, and I started collecting bits and pieces, not like heavy, like bits and pieces, right? Evolutions, generations, I went pretty hard on those sets, but then I dipped back like a little bit. Was still collecting, but very fringe, and picking up like maybe one booster box here and there. Like evolutions, I went hard on. I like bought like case after case of like evolutions, right? And I didn't save it all. I ripped a lot of it,
Yeah.
right? So that kind of gave me a platform that then 2019, 2020, I stepped it up a little bit in my collecting. Like I went a little bit harder on the certain sets within that era, right? And even still missed the boat on a lot of Sun and Moon sets that, you would have made absolute bank on if you could predict the future, right?
Yeah.
Like team up, stuff like that. But I kind of built a really big collection, in the sense of like market value in this day. So then you roll around to like, I don't know, 2022-ish time frame. And I always had in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, I've been continually adding to my collection because I can see the value. I've seen the Pokemon investment go up in value, and I've like sold on Evolutions booster boxes for way more than I bought them for and picked up other parts of my collection, right? So like reinvested that into evolving skies and things like that. So kept on building this like Pokemon collection. I was like, where's this going? Is this just an investment? Is this something I'm going to do something with? And was pretty much always a sealed collector until 20, like apart from Evolutions and Generations early days, ripping that stuff, everything else was kind of sealed from then, apart from the occasional, box or something. And then yeah, rolled around a couple of years back and was like started ripping stuff, right? and it just snowballed. Like I'm talking like getting full cases, getting every single pack out on the table and just ripping for like hours, right? And that like sparked a bug in me that like this is really fun, right? And like you see all the people out there that did openings at the time, you know, I followed all the usual suspects that you'd expect. And then probably later, like I definitely wanted to do it earlier, but didn't really think of the right means to do it. And that's where the phone comes into it, right? Like it was simple, it was easy, it was there, it was something I could do. I didn't know it was going to turn into anything. I was just ripping that much shit that I was like, people might be interested in watching this, right? So, like, and you see off the back of probably some of the videos in the early days, like, mystery product is something that I have a degenerate itch for,
Yeah.
right? So it's like, it stemmed into that and then it just blew up into the channel, man. But that's like how it started. That's the base behind me that gave me the platform to be able to rip some really cool stuff.
Yeah, so you were just so that's pretty crazy that you were like already sort of ripping a lot and then thought, oh, I better like start a was that what it was? You're ripping, oh, I better a lot of people use the YouTube channel as not the excuse, but you know, it kind of can justify it, I guess, in a reason. Like you say, if you're just gonna rip a case, it's like, well, you might as well film it, eh? You might as well in a way.
No, it definitely helps, Joel. You're exactly right. Like it justifies me ripping so much of the stuff. Like I have, you know, as I said, that collection that I built up all those years, and you see like older GX boxes that I'm ripping on the channel that are like market value now $300-400, right, for this box. And you're insane if you think ripping that is any way to pull. You need like a 1 in a million to make money on that box, right? But I didn't buy it for 300-400. I bought it X amount of years ago, right? But definitely, you know, it's not a positive investment. But it is an excuse, right? Like I definitely have ripped stuff from my sealed collection that's the channel's given me an excuse to do so. There's things that I still draw the line at. But who knows? If it grows big enough, everything goes out the window, right?
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you about that, because a lot of the stuff you do rip is insane crazy, just so you know.
Yeah.
Like, and you know, you must know.
No, I do. But it's ludicrous, man.
When you say you rip stuff, like for example, one of your videos was it was a collection box, about $400. So obviously you didn't pay $400 for that collection box, yeah? Is that something you've held? Like, how much stuff have you been holding prior to the YouTube channel? Or have you, because like you said, you were a sealed collector, and were you just collecting booster boxes, ETBs? Like, what do you collect? When you say sealed, everything. what do you, like everything?
Yeah, so I did the usual, I think Pokemon collector bipolar thing where you just like go from like one thing to the next, and you end up trying to finish so many things that you just like don't finish anything. But from a seal perspective, it was definitely like collection boxes, ETB cases, booster box cases were probably the top three. Tins, not as much. That was probably like mid Sun and Moon, more in the tin period. But yeah, collection boxes were something I loved. Like the one that you're probably talking about is the one that probably had Phantom Forces and some other stuff from like the early XY era, right? So that box is crazy. Like you don't rip that ever thinking you're going to make money. And some of the promos in those boxes are worth so much money in like a PSA 10. So they drive that box price up way more than it should be worth, because the promos are never in good condition, right? But yeah, like the other part that probably got me is like vintage, right? Like vintage hasn't been cheap for a long time. Have I been lucky in investing in some vintage when it was cheaper? Yeah, sure. But not as much. So the vintage packs that I have in my collection have probably been a trade-off of like, you know, let's say for example, Evolution's booster box case, right? So back in the day, $800 to $1,000, right? Now six to 7,000, right? So there have been times where I've been able to play off like a product like that to be able to invest some of that money into these vintage products that are like ridiculous to buy these days. And then slabs, man. Like slabs is a whole nother world.
Well, I was going to ask you about that too, actually, because are you into collecting slabs? Is that another rabbit hole you go down? So do you actually try to catch them all?
Mate, as I said, I've tried to collect it in every avenue, and all it does is just, as I said, you finish nothing, right? So, I have had goals to get like a PSA 7 or above in every single gold star.
Okay,
you know, Pokemon. So crazy expensive when you think of some of those gold stars. Crystal types from like Skyridge and those eras, like getting a PSA 9 and above of every crystal type, crazy. Getting a PSA 10 of every single base set card, right?
Oh,
Getting
it's
a PSA 9 and a 9 of every single like first edition base set card. So that's what I like, rather than mastering sets, I transitioned into a world of wanting to master PSA leveled sets, if that makes sense.
okay. Yep. That's
So
that hurts my brain to
yeah.
think about how much that costs. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, base set is yeah, everything bar the Charizard at the moment, so
Yeah. So you got the Charizard, or you haven't got the.
no, everything bar the
Oh, so
Charizard.
that's the last one to get you. Well, that's
Yeah,
exciting.
yeah.
You're at the end of the. You're
Just
at the
need
end.
20K, you know.
I mean, it's out there. Well, you sell 3 boxes of evolutions. Do you still have any left?
I've still got some heavy base. I do, but I've still got some heavy base set booster packs. So let's see if we can pull that
How
Zard and grade it at 10.
how many do you have of them? If you don't mind me asking.
Heavies, I've probably got about 6 left.
Yep.
So it's possible.
That's scary to think about. That's scary to know that you've got that in your collection. And so I got to ask that. So how do you know what you're going to rip for a video? Because like I've gone through the stage myself where I was collecting a lot of sealed. I had a very
Yeah,
decent sealed collection for at the time, and I ended up burning through all of it.
yeah,
And 90% of it was junk, but out of some of that, I pulled like the Giratina alt out of I had a bunch of Lost Origin
cool.
ETBs. I was just collecting a bunch of them, yeah, because I knew that the Giratina was going to be the boss, yeah. But I
Yeah.
ended up pulling one of them out of it, but I ended up ripping 6 of them to get that. How do you know what you're going to do for a video? How do you go, listen, I could just rip, some, Scarlet and Violet, or today base pack and then 20 packs of Scarlet and Violet or whatever.
So it's tough because it is like I think at this stage I've made that many videos that I have a general flow, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the trick. Like early days, you're exactly right. Like I lent on mystery packs so much because it's freaking hard to decide what you're going to rip into for a video and make it like. Firstly, people want to see it. Then secondly, like financially, none of this is financially smart. Like there's like not a shadow of a doubt. I have forked out a lot of money on the channel,
Yeah.
but as I said, it's like how much market value that is versus how much my money it is
Yeah.
isn't necessarily the same. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's still a lot of money I'm burning and probably not a smart investment. But look, what I started doing that worked was writing a schedule for the month, right? So I know I drop 3 videos a week. I do X amount of videos a month. That means I need to have X amount of ideas, right?
Yep.
So I'll generally try and do like 1 or 2 GX boxes a month, right? Well, I've burnt through all of the duplicates that I've got of GX boxes now. So I'm going into the stuff that I don't really want to rip if I do go more GX boxes, but it can happen.
Yeah.
Then I go, okay, well, maybe I'll do 2 mystery pack videos a month, right? So there's 4 videos and it starts to add up, right? And I get like an idea of the videos and I've incorporated more like polls so to get the community involved in what we rip on the weekend
Yep.
because I've gotten to a stage now. I don't know what episode we're up to. I think it's episode 17 on the vintage booster pack bounty hunt and episode 9 or 8 on the vending machine challenge. So they're 2 video ideas that I did early that people liked where I have a bug in me that I want to rip my vintage, but I'm not just going to sit here and rip through that whole little box in the middle there behind me that I have a vintage
Yeah.
that would be thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. So I created those videos to have like a challenge that if we hit that challenge, I rip vintage, right?
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong, that's been happening way too much lately. Like we have been hitting so many chase cards in those challenges and all this kind of stuff that like we are tearing through the vintage at pace,
Yeah.
right? But it will balance out, and that gives me so. As soon as I did that, I've got every other Wednesday or the Thursday video, depending where in the world you are, I would do one of those episodes, right? So all of a sudden I've got half my month planned, and then I've just got my weekend videos I need to factor in. So then it's just, do we go fishing and rip a Paldea Evolved booster box? That's
Yeah.
affordable. Like I shouldn't say it's affordable, but not like it's still,
Yeah.
$200 or 160 to $200 a box, right?
Yeah.
But that's cheaper than me ripping $900 in mystery packs.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a bit of a long-winded answer there, but that's
No.
kind of the flow of how I do it, right?
So if you're holding all this stock, right? So you're holding, and you know that you've got packs that I know that you bought them in, and you've only paid X amount, a few years back, but now it's X amount now. Do you sit there and go, or maybe I should sell it, or you're just like, nah, for the channel it's okay. Like, I mean, like, trying to gear my question to make it actually make sense. So
I get it. No, I
yeah,
get it.
like, it only
Yeah.
blows my mind, right? Because out of all the channels I know, right, it's like you and literally Poker Rev, like, who are ripping like stuff where you just like, but like, so obviously you held it for a few years, right? Why don't you hold it longer? Like, is the question, I guess.
Well, that
Or
was always an option.
so
That was always an option.
so do you sell
Yeah.
any of it off in the background? Like, do you sell stuff? Do you trade stuff?
So what I should do and what I think I should do and what I actually do are always different things, right?
Yep.
And that, like, I say to anyone who's like starting out a channel, I'm like, it's one of the most, like, you feel like you have split personalities, right? Because one day you think you're on track. This is what I'm doing. This is what's going to continue happening. Then the next day you're like, I need to just sell it all and stop. Like, what am I doing? Do you know what I mean? It's dumb. Like, I need to just sell this and realize my investment and like get the equity that I deserve from that. But I'm like, the enjoyment I get out of the enjoyment the community gets out of it is like driving this to continue. And
Yeah.
they like, I don't know how far it off it is because the channel's not like financially positive in anywhere near the fact, right? And I know from like maths where you need to get to be at that stage, and it's quite ridiculous, right? So, like, do I try and push to that point where it is somewhat sustainable or close enough to sustainable? Yeah, sure, that always runs through my head, but I'm like, it's as I said, it's like I feel like I have a split personality of like what I want to do versus what I should do versus like what's possible in the middle. Yeah, so it's tough, man. Like, definitely I need to sell more things.
Yeah.
I don't sell anything at the moment. I need to sell more things.
Yeah.
I have like ETB case after ETB case full of like hits, right? And I'm talking like, oh, this is my grading pile, and it's like 3,000 cards, and I'm like, like, in what world can I ever afford to grade 3,000 hits?
Yeah.
It's not going to happen, right? So I need to draw the line, and I'm trying to do that where I go, let's grade these. We'll make videos out of that. That's like, you know, something positive financially, and then find a way to sell them, right? I'm so hard at letting go of things. So definitely, I need to find that balancing act. I don't really have it right now.
It is the cruelest and hardest hobby. Like, I've had a lot of hobbies in my time, and Pokemon is definitely, well, and then especially trying to start a YouTube channel on top of the hobby itself, I think is, like you say, it kind of makes it worse. But it's a very hard channel. I found at the start, I guess, same thing as you, I guess, for the first year and a half, I was just ripping. And when I look back at what I ripped, I just go, oh, it makes me sick, yeah. I think, oh, I should have held it. But that's because you kind of get sucked into, this is a Pokemon channel, this is what you have to do, you have to rip. And then after a while, you go, oh, shit, like, I need to, like, figure out another way to do it. Because you sort of get sucked into watching the Revs and, you know, the Cool Trainer Ryans and stuff, and you do, like, the big channels, and you go, oh, shit, after a while, you go, I don't know if this is actually feasible. Like, I was actually chatting with POKEGAZ about this, and he said the same thing. He goes, like, I don't know how these guys do it. Like, they must be making some big back end or have some really nice friends pushing it on them, because it's...
Yeah. Well, you think about, like, that stuff that I mentioned at the start about, like, investment and how that, like, base is, like, you spent X for it and it's worth whatever now. Like CTR's that on steroids, right? Like, his collection is crazy, and he went hard, like, at that early stage when I got back into the hobby, like, and I was just, like, picking and choosing here and there. He went hard, right? Like, you see those boxes that Rev breaks for, like, his vintage, you know, breaks and stuff where people buy in, like, that's him and CTR for, like, what they've done. Like, that's crazy, and that's why they can probably do what they can do, right? Like, don't get me wrong, like, Rev's channel's probably, like, net positive even if he's ripping crazy stuff, but it's like, to get to that level, to then to be able to do that's crazy. And like, it's a constant balancing act. Like, do I know how long this is sustainable? I probably haven't drawn it out yet. I was meant to do that at a year. But I don't know. It's tough. I definitely, if I can work out a way of I don't know, selling hits, grading more and putting them into the market, realizing value from that to invest back into product. I feel like that's going to get closer to like sustainable and taking some of that weight off in cost, because it's like, sure, if things go wrong outside of this, it's like, then no, it's no longer possible, right? And you know, living in Sydney is so stupid. I'm sure it's the same in other cities in Australia, but it's just like, you know, families here and like friends are here and all that kind of stuff. So I don't want to move out of here, but it's just like, it is dumb, the cost of living, right?
Yeah,
So
it's rough.
all that weighs in, right?
Oh yeah, that literally single-handedly changed my channel. Like, you know, the last year when all the interest rates kept going up, it was like, well, you know, I could do a live this week, and that's like 2-3 booster boxes, and then you go, or we could like have nice things to eat at home, or like, you know,
Go on a holiday.
Yeah, I could go on a holiday. Well, that was the thing. I went on a holiday a few months back, and I fully had to just flat out stop. You know, me and Mrs. did the budget, and it was like, oh shit, like, you know, if I keep trying to do lives in the next 3 months, you know, like we're not going nowhere, and it's, you know, it is just a sign of the times as well, and like unfortunately the hobbies have to kind of take a, you know, cut, which is unfortunate.
Man, you got to take care of the family, right? And that's always like in the back of my mind, right? Like I'm like, this is growing to a point where I want to see where we can take it, but it's like, you know, how much do you sacrifice to do that? And I never want to take away from like that family time. So hence we're going back to that like phone, right? And that type of stuff. If I all of a sudden now need to invest like triple the amount of time into making my videos, I can't do it, right? So that's the other side of the balancing act, right? But it is fun, man. Like I like the challenge. I absolutely have a bug of degeneracy for like ripping cool shit, right? So, you know, whilst I can keep doing it, I'm going to keep doing it.
I feel like that's the hard part, eh? Because the funnest part, unfortunately, is the most expensive part. The funnest part is ripping packs, you know, like I love doing a podcast. I love meeting all the people I've met through this game. But just sitting there ripping a booster box, knowing that you're going to get probably like, you know, 20% of the value like out of it. It's the best, eh? It's the best.
Yeah.
Praying for a Giratina from a Lost Origin after you ripped 7 of them, dude. 7 boxes.
Dude, that's awesome. Don't worry, I've ripped more than that, Jolly, I think, and I have never seen the Giratina.
Yeah.
So you're doing well, I feel. That one's a hard one. That one's a hard chase.
I pulled two of them. I pulled 2. I pulled one, funnily enough, was like I said before, was from my sealed collection. I had this Lost Origin sitting there for ages, and I thought, oh, screw it. You know, I was doing a live one day, and I was kind of running out of stuff to rip, and I thought, oh, should I just rip the, you know, pulled the Giratina off center, super off center, and it's got ink dots all over the back of it. So it's not even close to being a 7. Like, you know, it's, and then I pulled one recently, bit better. But it's off center again. Like, it's definitely not a 10, but still, like, I'm going to grade that one anyway, just because the Giratina now, I think, sitting at like $500 or something. I think it's at $500 now, isn't it? Just raw, isn't it?
Yeah, $550 raw, man. Like they're up there, right? But
to pull a piece of cardboard.
I was going to say about that. Dude, it's crazy. It's crazy when you think about it in that sense.
Yeah.
And that's like the other side. You're like, I mean, I don't think it's going to happen, but like, is Pokemon going to take a dip? Like, is this investment that we've got, like, is this going to burn into fire in like 3 years' time? And I don't think it will, but it's like, it's always in the back of your mind, right?
That question, someone asked me that question, or was chatting about that recently, and I was like, nah, it's not going to take a dip, because I hadn't actually thought about it like that. You know, like, like I have shares and stuff, right? And I sit there and they dip, they go up, they go, and you just let them sit there in the background, right? Right, so in Pokemon, like, it's going to go up. Like, you know, you look, Steam Siege, no one liked that set, that's gone up. You know, Battle Styles, that's going up, you know what I mean? Like, not everything can be an Evolving Skies. You know, not everything's going to be a team up. But, you know, overall, they all sort of just go up. But you don't think about that. But then someone was like, what if it just doesn't become cool? And you're like, why wouldn't that happen?
Stop collecting it.
Yeah, and then you think to yourself, well, why wouldn't it do that? Because it was literally the biggest thing in the world in 1999. Like, I remember primary school it being the biggest thing. I wasn't even into Pokemon. I hated it. I thought it was the stupidest shit I've ever seen when I was younger. But my brother loved it.
It was huge.
I will sit there and say the biggest thing I remember from primary school, like, you know, we had Power Rangers, we had Ninja Turtles, we had Transformers. It was Pokemon was by far the biggest thing that I remember being like, this is everywhere. The movie comes out in 98 or 99, wherever that came out. It was the biggest thing. So you think if something was that huge at that point in time, obviously, yes, it was new and all that, but it did dive. Like, you know, people get older, kids get older.
Sure.
You get out of
Yeah.
it. You become a teenager. You start chasing girls. You want cars. You need.
Already
Why
shift,
wouldn't?
right?
Yeah, right.
And
And
it's like, yeah, I don't know. The reinvestment of it is like people in that like 30 to 45 age bracket are driving a lot of that because they have money to spend, right? And it's like,
yeah,
well, what happens when that age bracket gets to like 55? Do they stop and they reinvest and they put their money elsewhere and think about like their kids and their kids' kids and that kind of stuff?
yeah,
Like it's possible. I don't know. It's weird to think about, but like. Yeah, man. I think outside of what is it, Mario is like the largest brand in the world. Pokemon second, right?
yeah,
So it's like like Lego's third. So it's like Nintendo got the top two. That's pretty
yeah,
crazy,
yeah.
right?
They're doing all right.
Um, they must be doing something right. Like,
Yeah. Well, I was just about to say something, then I fully forgot what I was about to say. Well, I know, like in the middle of not COVID, no, sorry, the end of COVID, like when Pokemon was kind of booming, everyone was stuck at home collecting. Since
yeah,
obviously, like we were saying about before, our price of living went up. I personally
yeah,
know two channels that like have unfortunately had to like not die, but well,
yeah,
essentially because their product was selling. Their whole business model was selling product and selling cards
yeah,
and selling packs and ripping ships. And then,
yeah.
myself, I used to get involved in heaps of them. I was dropping $200 a night sometimes on ripping ships, Hopefully the
Yeah.
missus doesn't
They
hear
were
that.
big during the end of COVID.
Right. It
Big,
was
big.
so fun. Like people had money. Everyone, we were all stuck at home. We all had money for a bit. And then obviously interest rates go up. Everything goes up. And then a lot of people who had this business model were buying all this stock, trying to do these ripping ships. And then all of a sudden you can't do it no more
Yeah,
because your whole business model was based on selling. And then, if no one can afford to eat, they're not going to afford Pokemon cards on a ripping ship, especially. So,
yeah. And that's why I feel like there are so many people doing rip and chips, like nothing against them, but like I feel like if you want to take it to that next level, right, you need to differentiate something, right? And it's like the likes of well, I mean, like CTR and Rev probably not a good example because they're so big that they'll always work if they rip something, right?
yeah.
But like, I don't know, the people who do rip and chips but throw like some extra spin into it, right? They're not just, oh, buy this pack and you get this. It's like there's I don't know, bounties and there's battles and this type of
Yeah.
stuff. They're like putting an extra twist on it. But yeah, dude, I definitely think like how sustainable is that if people continue getting more strapped and strapped for cash? Like the end of COVID, people had money to burn. They had
Yeah.
nothing. They weren't going on holidays. They weren't doing this. So it was
Yeah.
like just jump online and try and hit the Giratina,
Yeah.
right? Or like, whatever it is.
Yeah. Sit there, have a few beers, and you're watching.
Yeah.
The big one I used to love was Boss Collectibles. Don't know if you ever got into him, but he
Yeah.
was doing good. Same thing, like
Watched a bit.
got hit by the same thing, cost of living.
Yeah.
It gets hard. Like I bought nearly all my pops off him as well. Like he was killing it, but it's just a sign of the times. It's hard. It's a hard business model to, you know, continue out. Have you ever thought about doing the rip and ship thing to make it back, or do you look at the time of posting shit and just go, nope?
I have, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to do just like traditional rip and chips. If I do it, I think I'll do like a box break style of like, I don't know. I don't mind the idea of like those triple box breaks that you're seeing. Like I
Yeah.
know Gaz has done one before, and
Yeah.
like a few others. Woody does them all the time, and obviously CTR's doing a bunch of them lately. Like I think he's more than triple. He's doing like 5 different booster boxes at the moment and stuff like that. But I like that idea. I just don't. I don't know. I don't know. It's hard. Like I don't want to be. It's not selling out. Like I don't want to call it selling out. It's not selling out, but I don't want to like make people think that they need to pay for the packs that I have to rip. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I know they'll get a point where I'll happily do that for a cool set and stuff like that. But it's just like, I feel responsible. I feel like I should front the cost. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
but then, yeah, it's tough.
I've dealt with that exact same thing before where it's like, well, I'm just ripping here. I feel like I should just rip it and just, it's my channel. I'd rather just rip and then I don't feel obliged to do anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whether you're ripping packs of people, you kind of got to do it. People are waiting for pack. I don't know. It's a different element.
You know how hard it is, right? Like,
Yeah.
how do you feel when you like rip a booster box for someone who buys it and they get nothing? They get like $3 worth of full arts. You're like, that's tough, right? But I guess you got to look at it from the other side. Back when, if I rewind to when I did buy into like those types of things, it's like you're getting something out of that regardless of the result of the cards. So Yeah, I don't know. Like, do I say I'll never do it? No. Like, I think there will come a time where I do it in the sense of traditional rip and ships. Not too sure. Probably more so structured. Like, I would love to get to the stage where I could rip a vintage box and we break it for the community, and I do it for a price that's beneficial to them, and I'm not making money out of it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
would love that scenario.
That's a scary thought, though, being able to get to that point to rip a whole booster box of something crazy. Although, I've spoken to people, and they were talking about before the Logan Paul era, they were ripping base sets for a bit because base sets were like bugger all. They weren't even $100, I don't even think, at one point.
Dude, you could get heavy base set booster packs in 2019, start of 2019 for $50.
That's gross to think about, eh? I've told this story before because I remember in, I think it was about 2010.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about Pokemon in like literally 10 years. And then one day me and my mate were just thinking, oh, what's gotten expensive over the years, yeah? And I remember looking up Pokemon then in 2010 and going, oh, see, look, that shit's been around for like 13, 14 years and it hasn't gone up anywhere. Pfft. And then you think back about how stupid that is and you're like, oh my God, the amount of money I spent on like going out and getting pissed on the weekend. You know, I could have 7 houses right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I could have just been buying cases and cases of base set.
Can you imagine? I think
It makes me feel sick to think about.
I think it was a shadowless, mate. I think it was a shadowless base set or like a first edition base set that like Rev was telling a story once upon a time about how they picked it up for like $2,000 and they were like, how did we just spend so much money on this? This is ridiculous. We're so dumb.
Yeah.
And it's like, box is $200,000 plus now. It's like, it's crazy.
Oh my God. It makes me sick still that that's cardboard, right? So but
Yeah.
Do you think that's one of the problems though with the hobby as well, where I feel now, because I was that guy too. I'll just put my hand up and say I was completely that guy, right? And like,
Yeah.
maybe you as well. I don't know, because you kind of said, you know, about the investing part. Like, I got into Pokemon through investing, which is kind of not a good way to get into like a hobby. Oh, you know what I mean? Like, there's a different element to it. There's different kinds of Pokemon fans. Listen, I don't want to offend anyone who's watching this, by the way, but there's like the people who go out and they'll buy like the Pikachu or Eevee backpack and, you know, and then there's like, you know, blokes in their 30s just like casually like stocking up and, you know, for like some sort of future investment. And you're like, oh, am I a good person?
There's a
I don't
line.
know. Like,
there's a line, and some people are just about the money, right? Some people are purely just about the money, and some people are both, I think, right? They love the nostalgia of it. They're about the collectibles of it. And then there's ones that are just fans, right? They're the ones that they don't care, right? Like if it's a common like Snorlax, I mean Snorlax is not a good example, but you know if it's common whatever, they're just like this is the best card in the world, and they got binders full of stuff that no one holds dollar value to them, but they love it. And they're the people who probably win most in the hobby, to be honest, because no matter what happens in market fluctuations or anything, like. And I always say to people who want to get into collecting, oh, I love this set. It's really good. What other sets should I collect? This and that. And I'm like, buy what you like, because then it doesn't matter what happens to the price, because you're going to like your collection, right? Like you go out and you buy a felt hat Pikachu for $700, right? Like a couple of months back, it's already dropped down to $400 now, right? It was given to people for free. It's like, sure, that's not a great example because that's probably going to hold value and go up, but it's like, if that dived into the ground and you paid $700 for it and you're ripping your hair out, you're like, well, if you just bought a card that you loved, regardless of value, you're not going to have that problem.
Yeah, you wouldn't care about that.
Yeah, I think gone are the days of the hyper growth that we saw back in those years. I think it's what you said, right? Where Battle Styles is worth 200, 230 plus a box now, right?
Yeah.
Is that what that set's worth? I'm not going to diss Battle Styles or anything, but probably not, right? And they're all going to go up that incremental amount regardless. They're not all going to be in Evolving Skies, but they're all going to go up in time. So, yeah, I think just so long as the amount of the product is finite, it's gonna continue going up. It's just not going to be a hyper growth thing.
Yeah, I think that you know, post COVID, you know, or middle of COVID, everyone's stuck at home. Everyone had cash. Like it boomed it. It was off the back of the Logan Paul thing as well.
Yeah.
You know, like you're right. Like it's going to take something pretty crazy to, because even I felt when Scarlet and Violet started, like I know I've ranted about this 1,000 times before, but like I feel like the hobby in general kind of like slowed down a bit. I think everyone will kind of
they were hungover.
yeah, it was kind of like, oh, we just had like all this sword and shield, and we loved it. We got back into it. We were all stuck at home, and
Yeah.
we've realized this is fun. It's a community and all that. And then like just sorry, I got something in my eye. And then like Scarlet and Violet, it's kind of slowed everything down a bit, I thought. And then it's kind of it's picking up a bit of pace, but I feel like you need something big to jump it again, I guess. Do you want that even? Do you even want that to?
I don't know. And I don't know what that could be. It's like the nostalgia of 151 was huge, right? But as you said, people had a hangover.
Yeah.
It was like set after set after set. So it's like, look, I do think 151 is going to do well, not Japanese, because they printed that into the ground. It will go up in time because it's got the master balls. It's unique. Japanese 151, I think, will do still well, but it'll take longer. But it's like outside of that, maybe Paldea Evolve's taken a boost since they've said, oh, we're not printing it anymore. Do you know what I mean? And people are like, oh, Magic Cup, it's the new Giratina.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like, I think it's, as you said, there's not going to be that evolving skies necessarily again, but they all will go up, right? But yeah, I don't know what new set does it. Maybe this like Team Rocket throwback, maybe the tag team throwback. Maybe one of these sets has the capabilities to make people go crazy. I don't know. Or who out there? Like I remember you guys talking about it on the fireside chat type video, right? Where you guys are talking about who's the next person that's going to blow up Pokemon, right? Like, is there someone out there? Who is it?
Yeah.
Right? Is it Drake? I think Watto was saying.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
it's got to be someone random and big, yeah? Because like Logan Paul,
The Rock.
as much as I hate
The Rock
saying
gets
it,
a Pokemon named
right?
after him or something.
It's right, 100%, right? And like you feel like people do forget about it over time. And Logan Paul, I feel like Logan Paul single-handedly just did it, eh? Like he kind of, I don't know how that guy. I guess it's like I'm a bit older, so like I'm not interested in some like 20-year-old guy ripping packs. At the time, it's like this is stupid, yeah. But he kind of single-handedly brought it back. But I was gonna. Sorry, I just had another question before I just got sidetracked on something else I was gonna say before. How do you, when you buy packs now, do you buy stuff now still with the intention of investing, or is everything you buy now going forward for the channel, or do you think, Scarlet and Violet sounds good, Paldea sounds good, I'll get a case of that, or I'll rip that, or do you just go, nah, I've got my collection now? Because your collection's massive, by the way. Like,
yeah, it's huge, but it's like,
sorry to keep harping on about your
no, dude, it's
stuff, yeah?
it's sitting. Part of it's sitting right behind me, and it's not even like the full part, right? So it's like it is big, and it was kind of like an addiction in a way, I guess. Like as you said, like you have shares and you have all that kind of stuff. Like what kind of spurred me on in that 2019 to just invest was I had some bad shares investments go wrong, right? And I got really pissed off with it all, and I took a bunch of money out, and I just said Pokemon, right? And I went really hard for like a 2-year period, and that built a big base from that point in time. But I think it's ingrained in me, man. I don't think I can't not keep an eye out for those deals that I want to invest in, i.e. Paldea Evolved. If I see one of the connections in Australia that does really good pricing on like sealed cases, I can't say no. Like, should I be investing all that money into it at that point in time? Probably not. I'd probably go too hard on a lot of things than that I should. But it's more of a balancing act now between investing for the channel to open and investing for the collection, right? So, if I had no channel, and I was still just in investing mode, I would have made different decisions, right? Like buying mystery packs. That is not a smart investment. That is a dumb investment.
I do actually want to ask you about that. Like, what's the appeal behind mystery packs? Because you open a lot of them. I'm not a mystery pack guy.
So I don't condone gambling in any way. It is poisonous. It is a really bad thing. Don't gamble if you don't already gamble, and if you do it responsibly. I have to say that, right? But I have a huge background in playing poker and stuff like that, right? Oh. And poker has been a successful gambling, if you want to call it that, avenue in the past, right? Do I have the time to invest in that? No, I don't have the time anymore because you need a lot of hours to do poker, right? But that obviously leads you into other avenues of gambling. Gambling's bad, man. Like the amount of money I've done dumb things with in the past, you like, it makes some people vomit, right? So I don't condone it at all, but there is still somewhat of that bug inside me, right? So that probably leads to the mystery packs, and what goes hand in hand with that is I love ripping vintage, right?
Yeah.
So just that appeal of potentially ripping vintage. Pokemon's a gamble in itself. You open a pack of Pokemon cards, $7 or $500, whatever that pack's
Yeah.
worth, you're gambling, right? Because whatever the result from that pack is. So that probably still is wired into me, right? And yeah, I mean that definitely leads into mystery packs. Apart from the fact, I think it's awesome viewing. I think people love watching mystery
Yeah.
products getting ripped because you're kind of going through that experience together of like, you know, the whole reaction culture that started like 4 or 5 years ago or whatever. Like that blew up the YouTube world, and it's like, yeah, I mean that's probably part of it, right?
What did you say? Reaction culture, like, is as in like not like reaction videos, like, is that what you're talking about? Like,
No,
as,
but
or
just
just
like that whole people want to see people react to things, right? So like
that is a
prank
weird
video,
thing though, right?
like all of that, like that's
Yeah.
why they're so huge because people love that, right? People love seeing the way that I don't know. I guess it's like ingrained in us as humans that we like get a certain feeling out of seeing someone experience something, right?
Where it's a weird.
Which is we're getting deep here now. We're
No,
getting real deep.
I always get the weird about that. It's like, you know, when you watch the kids and they'll watch like
Yeah,
a YouTube video of a kid playing with toys, which I
yeah.
guess is essentially what we're doing. We're playing with kids' toys, I guess, in a sense, anyway, aren't we?
I didn't
Actually,
think about
I've
that
just
because
realized it now as I said it out loud. I'm like, oh shit, I can't rip on the kids anymore for that, eh? Because we do the same
don't
thing,
worry,
don't we?
I've blocked so many of those videos from my daughters because
Oh,
like
really?
it's just rich kids over in like Eastern Europe that
Yeah.
have millions of dollars that are just like I hate those videos, man.
Smash
So
it like
like I
400.
feel you.
Yeah, but is that what we look like to other people? You reckon?
You
Like,
just like you broke the window for me, right? So
I
you
think
just like made that like, damn, that's what we're doing. But like,
you know,
oh
one kid gets like 2 packs of Pokemon cards a week if he's good, yeah. And there's
yeah,
us like dickheads, you know, ripping
yeah.
booster boxes and shit. Like maybe that's what we look like. The kids ripping open like 20 boxes of
We're the
Barbies.
rich small kids
Shit.
that other kids are watching.
Yeah, shit. I've just realized that. Sorry, world.
I didn't think about it that way. Now I feel guilty.
I've only just thought about it as I was saying it out loud. I was just gonna ask,
Yeah.
are you one of those guys that goes to Costco and buys up all the stuff and then or do you keep it
Look,
all so hush hush?
I don't even have a Costco near me or a Costco.
Yeah.
Don't you need a membership to get into them? So
Yeah,
I feel
sick.
left out. Like, I'm not saying I would go in and buy them all because I don't think that that's the right thing to do. But I would definitely want to grab one or two to add it to the collection for a video or something like that, right?
Have you ever done that though? Have you ever gone somewhere and gone, oh, that's a good deal, I'm emptying that into the trolley?
The only one I can think of is like the Mighty Mysterious tins from the service stations, the Coles
Oh, yeah, I
Expresses.
saw one of your videos. Is
Right?
that the Evolving Skies video where you had the 3 boxes of it in the video?
Mate,
I was like, how the
I've
frick has he got so many of them?
I've bought probably like 600 of those tins or like 400 of those tins.
They're fun tins to open, eh?
Well, they're really rough with pull rates, but I did pull the Rayquaza in the live.
3
So,
alts from them I've pulled. I shit you not.
and I hear that all the time. So I
shit
think
you
it's just
not.
luck of the draw, right? They're
Yeah.
either really bad or they've got a good alt art in it. And I've heard both ways, right? But like, even still, they were stocked in the Coles Express that I bought a ton from for ages, right? So I didn't
Yeah.
go and like buy them all out, but I did buy a lot. Like I went up to
Yeah.
the guy who owned the servo and I was just like, how much do you have? And he's like, I've got 100 boxes. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm not going to buy 800 tins,
Yeah.
but you know, give me 200, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like, yeah, that's
Still enough
probably
to
the
party.
closest.
They were good value
Yeah,
though,
man.
those tins, eh? Because they had like Evolving, Lost Origin, and some of them had Sun
No.
and Moon, I think, didn't they?
No,
Sorry. Cosmic.
they were the different. They were the different variant. The
Okay,
ones
yep.
that I bought were the Mighty Mysterious that had the. They have Evolving, Brilliant, and Fusion in every single
Yes,
one. But the other
yeah,
one
yeah.
you're talking about had the mix and the chance of Cosmic, right?
Yeah, it had-
Which if you could find those ones for Cosmic, such a good price.
I know, because
Like,
Cosmic's like $30 a pack, isn't it?
it was ridiculous.
It was like
and then
buying
whenever I tried my luck at those packs, I always got the one that had like
Rebel Clash.
battle styles and like
Yeah.
something else in it, like Rebel Clash.
Yeah. Because I think because the one near my house had the, Cosmic Eclipse for ages, and it was grouse. I was just walking in, and then like I said, I pulled the Leafeon VMAX alt,
Oh,
which I sold to
good.
Brody, and then Brody got a PSA 10. So ask me how dirty I am
No.
about that.
the grading king.
Oh, he got it. He got it so good. And then I pulled no, it's not a big alt, but the Duraludon VMAX alt from Evolving. I pulled that, and what was the other one? But I pulled 3 alts from those tins, and I was like, this is the best ever. So, which then sucks you back into that gambling thing again, because you get that taste where you're like, oh, this is easy money.
Yeah.
And then you realize you just bought another 100 tins and you only got 2 alt arts.
Yeah, I mean that video where I did it for the Evolving Skies one, so we ripped open like 36 tins so we can make a comparative to like a booster box. But when you look at the dollar value, and like I can't do it off the top of my head, but like 36 times $22, which is the tin value.
Yeah.
But you're getting a Brilliant Stars and a Fusion as well. So it's like you're still paying like almost less than a booster box's value.
I've just realized now, if you think about it like that, and if those tins are $20, that's still cheaper than buying a booster box of Evolving Skies, and then you essentially get a free booster box of Brilliant Stars. And
Fusion.
You're technically getting 2 free boosts. If you think of it like that in a weird, stupid way, you kind of are. You're getting 3. You're getting 2.
That's my maths, man. Stupid maths is the only maths, right? I'm making money. Why wouldn't I do it?
Yeah. Why wouldn't I rip all this?
Like, there goes $700.
Yeah. I do look at well, I feel like now I've got a bunch of Evolving Skies packs, and they stare at me every day, and I want to rip them, but I don't want to because they're in the blister sleeves, and I like them hanging up, and they look cool. And then I just see the price go up, and I'm like, well, now it's not even worth it, because if you math out the price of the packs, even if I ripped every single one of them and then pulled the Umbreon, which the chances are still slim, I'm not going to make that money back. Like, even if I rip all that, I have to get like 4 Rayquazas at least to get the value of all those packs there. I'm like, it's exactly. And if you still got to get the 10, like you say, of the bunny. So I'm like, it's not even worth me ripping that. So it's this weird. Evolving Skies is in this weird sphere at the moment.
It's almost, as you said, it's priced out of you being able to open it unless you open products like those tins, like boxes that are a good price, or you get a product that's on sale and cheap, right? Booster boxes and sleeved, it's like out of, it's not financially there.
No, it's like I saw someone selling them for like $35 the other day, and some people I think are selling them for $40 a pack now.
Crazy, man.
So, and that's in the space of what, 2-3 years Evolving Skies came out. Like, how old's that?
Yeah, it's definitely a set of its own, right? Like, to have, I mean, it's got the most alt arts out of any set in the Sword and Shield eras in Evolving Skies, right? So it's like
a sick set. It's a great set. Like,
it's got some amazing alt arts. Like, you don't see many sets that have a top 20 hits that are still all above like $200, $300. Like, that's unheard of.
Yeah, it's mental. It's mental. I do actually want to get back to your channel. Actually, I had a question about the when did you realize your first video popped off, right? So, like you say, when you start, you don't get a lot of views, like every channel ever. When did you realize what you were doing worked? Like, or was there a video, one particular video that popped off, or was it just a gradual growth, or?
So I probably, it was definitely videos that worked better than others early days, and I could work that out, right? And it was like, I was opening a lot of like nostalgia mystery boxes. Shout out to Nostalgia that, I don't think they're making their boxes anymore. They've gone on a bit of a transition, but
really?
like those videos always did better. People loved watching mystery boxes being opened, but like nothing crazy. Like it was still like, a couple of 100 views for those videos versus, not even 100 views for the ones where I'm like doing, I don't know, Silver Tempest versus Lost Origin or something in like a battle, like a couple of packs of each and who comes out on top. Did like profit and loss challenges. So like, I'll buy this product. It's worth $50. Do we get $50 of value back? We made 40 or something, or I got pretty lucky in some of those actually early. I think some of my videos that have like minimal views, we pulled the Gengar VMAX alt art from Fusion.
Nice.
We pulled the Machamp from Astral Radiance. Like there was some crazy pulls that like the videos still got like no views, but it was early days. So we did pretty well on those ones. And then there was one particularly when I bought a bunch of PokeRev mystery packs, right?
Yes.
And obviously the name, like PokeRev mystery packs just do well because it's PokeRev, right? Yeah. So it was significantly better though than other videos where I think my best video, and I'd have to check exactly, but my best videos were maybe getting like 1,000 views or just under 1,000 views for like some crazy openings, like, $700 of mystery packs. And then this one of PokeRevs, I think went 5,000-6,000 like very quickly in the first few days of it being out. And I was like, okay, what did we do that like worked in this one? And did I find the formula? No, not necessarily. because even after that, we had videos that went straight back down and videos that went up. And now, I don't know, something that I think really helped was, and it's really hard time wise, but engaging with every single person that ever commented on any video.
Yeah.
Like, I respond to every single person. And early days, I would respond and respond and respond. Like, we'd have conversations to like
Yeah.
nearly everyone, right? So I built this connection with the community that like I love personally. And I'm now at a point where I'm fearful of like, I want to keep that going, but it's like, is it going to become unsustainable, right? With time and like, if you fork out 3 hours to go and respond to every single comment and like truly read it, not just like respond and be like, thumbs up or something like that. Like, sure, you get the occasional thumbs up one, but yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if there was any specific video. That one definitely like skyrocketed and is probably behind a lot of the mystery pack battle type style videos I do. But I think it was just like I just kept on pumping out content, man.
Yeah. You've never really let up, eh? You've kind of consistently kind of just kept pumping videos. Like
Yeah.
every week you still keep, pumping them out. And you have
Yeah.
like
So
you kind of got your own brand too, which kind of, sorry to cut you off. I was just like even though you do just do the hand cam, you've kind of still managed to make your own brand completely. Like your thumbnails all look the same, so you know it's your thumbnail. Then your intro is the same, like similar. It's pretty amazing when you really think about it, the amount of effort people go to make channels, and it's like the simplest one is works and is enjoyable as well on top of that. So it's not even about like views, it's like it actually is enjoyable to still watch. But one thing you did do is I noticed, like, I guess everyone does this too, like you got more confident, obviously, which happens, and you talk very consistently and well, which helps obviously because it's just a camera. I'm like, that's a big thing as well. I think being able to just talk and chat and not have to rely on needing to be seen, I guess. Does that play into your head at all? Like you go, do I need to be seen? Like, does it matter?
Yeah, and 100%. It's like the things that I prioritize were so different to what you see other channels prioritize, and I think it definitely helped. And I think it was Watto that I was speaking to the other day that said that the style of video that I make is something that you can just put on in the background, right? Like you don't like need to be like hyper focused on it. You can listen to the like story, the talk track, and like I talk way too much. I know that, right?
Nah,
But
it's good.
there are people who like that, and
Yeah.
and there are people obviously that hate it. There are people that don't get around it, but that community, those people who are going to be there for me if I make an absolute rubbish video versus a banger video where I burn, a lot of cash, they're always going to be there because of that base of what we've built, right? And I think they're invested, right? Like that's kind of the other part of like definitely like intentionally thumbnails consistency, like upload consistency key. Like I did that. I had the commitment. I said I want to do it for a year. I want to be as consistent as possible for a year, right? And I've had to sacrifice other things, obviously, but yeah, I don't think it's necessary to bring the face cam in to do any of that. I don't think it is. Do I want to do it because it adds something new? The lives is something that like obviously needs to be there, but yeah, it's definitely not like mandatory. But the things I focused on were different to what normal channels probably focus on.
Yeah. Well, that's a good thing though. Like, are you an analytics guy in the background? Do you look at stuff and go, "Oh, I need to do this. I need to change that. Oh, this is doing that. Oh, this dipped." Like, how heavy do you get into the analytics of a video?
I probably could more. I definitely like made decisions early on of like who was engaging in my content, when was the right time to put my content up, and it naturally was when I was doing it because it worked for me. Like my time frame was like after work, kids are asleep, on the phone, edit, upload. I upload often. They would hit, go up at like midnight or later, right? But I quickly saw that like the audience that views, obviously we're very America heavy with the people who view YouTube content. It's just America's such a big nation,
Yeah,
right?
it is, yeah.
Well, the US, I should say. But so putting it at that time worked for them. It was like the start of like when the US would be switching on to watch stuff. It also worked with the UK time zone. So yeah, it wasn't Australia specific from a time zone perspective. That's probably the one thing that I lent into a lot. And the fact that it worked for my time frame. Like I'm not going to drop a video at 5 p.m. Like I can't. I've just finished work. Unless I edit it the day before and then have it ready, then sure, I could do that time frame. But yeah, I mean, as much as I looked at the stats, I probably fell into a lot of these things and they just worked, right? And I think it was a byproduct of those other things that we mentioned.
Yeah, just like the consistency and just
Yeah.
so one thing that's something I'm trying to work on too is what is my audience? Because when I look at my analytics, they are very not Australia heavy, which kind of sucks because when I do lives, they're very Australia heavy. But then the
Yeah.
long form, isn't it? And I get stuck in this, oh shit, like, do I make videos for my mates or do I make videos for the algorithm or the audience? You know, like at that time, like,
Yeah.
it does my head in. I'm going through this bit of a, for a few months back, I kind of went through a bit of a, I think I have to stop caring about the analytics because it's
Yeah.
kind of driving me I think in a wrong direction even, I think sometimes.
I think so. I think somewhat you need to like step away from the analytics and just be like, what works for what you want to tick off, right? Like I think that's definitely priority number one. I totally get the live thing. I think lives are tough from that side of things for a few reasons, right? Like I'm doing the live. It's going to be tomorrow for us right now. It's going to be after, like it will be done by the time this drops. But
Yeah.
tomorrow I'm going to be doing it 8 a.m. our time. You're on my time, right? To suit America and to suit Europe and all of that kind of stuff, right? But it's not. That's not really Australian friendly. Like who's with fully
Everyone's out and
available at
about.
8 a.m. to watch,
Yeah.
right? So I get it, and that's specific to the audience. But also, it's like me coming from like long form and now stepping into the lives. You started with lives early, right? So that leads back into that like whole sense of like you ripping so much product. Like that's difficult, man, because you have that audience, you have that community driving what you're doing right there in the live. Like, how do you control that and like stop that? That's hard. So I personally, for your channel, like I think the potties are great. I think they're really cool, and I think I like the fireside chat, like the talk between the four guys. I think that's cool. I think the more you find what you want to kind of like get out of those, the more the channel's going to build around that, right? Like, and I'm not trying to put ideas in your head, but potentially like that fireside chat, like maybe that grows to a point where there's something that's brought to the table for each of those that engages that community and they get involved in that conversation. Because I saw, I think from one of the last few ones, that when you were bouncing those ideas off the audience and that kind of stuff, like that was really cool. That dynamic was really cool, right?
Yeah.
And it's what works well in lives. Like, you know it, like when, everyone's G'd up and you're G'd up, like that's awesome, man. Like
it's pretty fun. Like, and that's the fun thing about lives. That's why I think nearly as soon as I started doing lives, I almost really immediately I dropped long form completely.
Yeah.
Nearly, because most people kept messaging me in the background saying, hey, well, I wasn't editing videos. I was doing some really stock one take, OBS record. Probably should have edited, like definitely should have edited. The amount of time I spent looking for stock and buying stock, I should have spent learning to edit. But once I did the first live, that was another addiction where you're like, oh shit, live's way better. You've got someone to chat to. I can feed off the energy and, and more often than not, Swadsy looking at you, they do convince you to rip more shit than you should, which is, so don't get sucked into that. I'll tell you that early on, right? Because, everyone's happy to tell you to rip stuff when they're not paying for it.
Rip that base set pack. Rip that base set pack.
Bad.
Oh, don't worry, man. I've got my fears.
Oh, it's bad, but it is fun. It's a whole different and I think for something like Pokemon, it's good and bad in itself. It's the lives are really easy to do with a Pokemon community because everyone does G you up. They're all looking for cards. They'll talk about their collections, what they're collecting. It's a good. And the Pokemon community is a really great community. It really freaking is, yeah. So to have a live platform, it's kind of made for Pokemon collecting, I reckon, in that
100%.
aspect. But at the same time, I feel like I kind of want to tell this story real quickly, just because
I've done too much talking, Joel.
No. Like, I was actually it leads back into your channel, right? So obviously it was your first live, so it was a lot of hype, and it was a face reveal, and it was like fantastic. And then on top of that, let's just point out, not only did you pull the freaking Rayquaza, but then you go and pull that Crystal Guardians pack. That was from a mystery box as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Which is like so fitting as well, that like, you rip all these mystery boxes, you save it, and then the Zard's in there. Boy, that's
crazy, man.
But Yeah.
It's a dream. Yeah, sorry, I'll let you
No,
finish the
that was.
question. Yeah, yeah,
We'll get back to that in a second because that was
yeah.
like actually blew my mind. I was like, how does this guy just end a stream with that? Like this guy just
So
like
crazy.
waltzes in, has a live, and then but like I was watching another big. I won't say the name because I don't want to offend them, but
Yeah,
there was another big YouTuber, like a legit household name, goes to their
yeah,
live only had like 70 people in it, and I was
yeah,
like, okay, so I don't know if there's a number of reasons why that could be. Maybe it was a weird time to go live. I don't know. Maybe it was not an interesting live. Maybe it wasn't well. I
yeah.
don't know. But your live, I believe, would you have 500 people, maybe more? How much did you have in there at one point? It was insane.
I think it peaked at like 220-ish, 220-ish or something like that. But it held strong at like above 150 for the whole
I was
time.
like, who does this? Who does this? I was like, who just like smashes out that? Well, but you had to have been impressed with that though, eh? You had to be like, go because I think the biggest fear of anyone going live for the first time is like, well, obviously, shit, is everything going to work? Because that's always the big headache. But is people going to watch this? Is this going to be interesting?
Yeah,
So it must have
yeah,
felt pretty good going, oh shit, I got like 100 people watching me. Or was it nerve wracking?
yeah.
Was it the opposite? Was it nerve wracking?
It was all of the above.
Yeah.
It was like so. As I think I mentioned earlier, is like 5K rolled around and kind of shocked me, right?
Yeah.
Like it came pretty quickly in the sense of the preparation, the things that I'd committed to for the community, right? Ripping the Crystal Guardians EX pack, the Legends, Silver Summit, the GOAT who donated that mystery box that was still blowing my mind how
Yeah.
crazy that was,
Yeah.
right? Like, so two epic things for a 5K celebration, giving away numerous crazy things, face reveal, and doing the first live stream. It's like a combination of like this that's just full on
Yeah.
in itself. So really busy time for me at the time of it. Had to get the PC because I didn't have a streaming PC. Again, everything was the phone, right?
Yeah.
So the stress and the panic came around, and it may not come through my videos, but I am a little bit of a perfectionist in wanting to deliver on the right outcome, right?
Yep.
So, like you said, you always have the fear in your mind of, do I go live and what if there's like 5 people watching me and no one's engaging, right? It's
Yeah.
like I'm not going to rip thousands of dollars of stuff for 5 people to be like, oh, good on you, mate, and move on. So I always had like in the back of my mind that I wanted it to be big. My first live, I wanted it to be big. So 100% blew my mind from that perspective. I think I had a moment. Like I was so busy setting everything up, and I like there's so many things for the stream I didn't get set up that I wanted to have, but it was enough, right? It was
Yeah.
enough to deliver on the outcome, so I was happy from that perspective. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, never done a live before, right? I did a few tests like leading into it to make sure that like when I cut to the box cam, when I do different things like that, it was going to work, right? But I'm sitting here and like I've got the chat on this screen here that's next to like the main screen, got the camera, like got the dodgy setup going, like not dodgy, but enough, right?
Yeah.
And I like see how many people are in the stream half an hour before we're even live, like just sitting there chatting away, and I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
I was like, this is crazy. And I've got like this little video on my phone that I might put it in a reel one day or put it in a video where we're like 1 minute away from live, right? And I'm just about to hit the like go live button with the my little dodgy starting to soon screen like that I
Yeah.
just cut together the day before, right? And it just accelerates and the chat just goes so hard, man. And I'm
The
like,
waterfall of words. Yeah.
yeah. I'm like
Yeah.
sitting here, my heart pounding, and I'm like, this is it. Like, let's go time, right? And just geeing myself up. And obviously, naturally nervous. And I had a few people being like, oh, dude, your hands were shaking so much in the first bit. And I'm like, no. I'm like I'm a restless leg person. Like, that's my, like, I do that all the time, right? So
Yeah.
my leg was shaking under the table and was bumping my hand. It looked like I was shaking. But at that point, I was like over it. Everyone was like, calm down. You're all right. You're all right. But man, it was like, when I talk about it now, it felt like a dream. Like it
Yeah.
honestly felt like a dream because firstly to have everyone in there, that's showing the community, the support, all of you guys, like the other content creators, everyone. It was like that was incredible. The opportunity to rip into what we ripped into in that
Yeah.
video. That was incredible.
Yeah.
Like I still to this day I like look back over all those things that Legend Silver Summit put in that box and I'm like, that's a year's worth of like product for some people to rip into. And we're just going hard in one video and a live going into that.
Yeah.
Then to add the Crystal Guardians EX pack on top, it's like I have I've always had a lifelong goal of, or like Pokemon goal of wanting to pull a gold star, right? So EX is not cheap. It's probably an era that's more expensive than WotC, right? Which is
Yeah.
crazy when you think about it in that sense. Like there are some in either that are more expensive, but it's like to have that pack and know the potential of what's in that pack from a gold star perspective, from the Delta species Charizard that we pulled in the reverse, that's
Yeah.
like Crystal Guardian stamped, like that, like the warm up pack Rayquaza, the whole
Yeah.
experience, like as you said, like you can't script that. Like
Yeah.
that's if you wrote the perfect stream, in my opinion, that's the perfect stream.
Yeah.
Like, sure, I could have thousands of people watching me concurrent. Like, no, that's unrealistic. But this is the perfect, like, that blew it out of the water. And it's almost like has me in this mind, and we're going live tomorrow, so I've got no choice, right? Like
Yeah.
tomorrow, present time, not future us time. But it's like I almost didn't want to go live again because I'm not going to live up to the standards of that, right? Like, because that was crazy. It was such an incredible experience, and like we're not going to replicate that. That's not it's a dream. As I said, it's like I don't know, man. I still am in shock.
Nah, that's awesome. So that's good that you feel like you, but it G'd you up, right? So you're ready to do
Yeah.
more. Like you got tomorrow's one planned. Do you have a schedule idea of what you want to do for lives, like going forward? Do you go, all right, still do 3 long form. I'll do a live once a month, or what's your, or are you like, I've
Yeah.
got the addiction now. I'm just gonna like go hard in the lives and rip like all my boxes in the background.
So, and that's what do we do, right? Like that's
Yeah,
the golden question, as you just said. So, I burnt out hard after that live. Like as soon as I went to bed that night, I was sick. I woke up the next morning, I was like rocked for a week, man. Like it was coming, to be honest. I think like I probably had I had a really bad sickness at the time of the live, but the adrenaline and everything and like delivering on it kept me going until it was like just done, right?
yeah,
I didn't walk back into this room after the live until like 4 days later. And it was like that was one of the first videos that I missed, is that like Sunday video that I normally put out that weekend because I was cooked and I was still living off of it, right?
yeah,
But where do we go from there? So I definitely rely heavily on the community and guiding me in what they want to see. So always want to put a poll out and ask, what do we do? Do we stream every minute? Do we stream, weekends? Do we stream monthly? Do we do celebrations? Is kind of like what I asked the community. General consensus was like a 50-50 between weekly and like monthly, right?
mm.
So I think we start slow and I do maybe like monthly or every second week and then find our groove, like, and see what works. And once it becomes more of the routine,
Yeah,
then it's going to be easier, right? Like we find our time, we do all of that stuff and we deliver on it, right? And then the second part to your question is like, what do we rip? Like the last thing
yeah,
I want to do is turn up to a live with having no game plan, because we know, like we know as soon as that happens, like this is just going to get demolished,
yeah,
right? Like we're going to rip into a bunch of this, the cupboard's in trouble, like everything, right? So I I want to come to each stream with a plan, and maybe I move my vintage booster pack bounty hunts to a live because I think they would do pretty well in a live format. It's got like a point system around the packs that we're opening. It's got chase alt arts. It's got the chance of vintage. So it's kind of got everything, I feel, like from a enjoyment perspective. Or alternatively, I keep that on the Wednesday and the live on the weekend, if we do one every second or monthly, whatever it is like a viewer's choice.
yeah,
I put it to the community and say, do we rip mystery packs? Do we rip Paldean booster boxes chasing the fish? Do we chase Mewtwo in Crown Zenith? Do we do a GX box or a few? That kind of thing. And if I ask the question of mystery packs are in there, it's always going to get selected.
yeah,
It just always does, right? Like
yeah,
people want to see mystery packs. So hence the live this weekend is I didn't even put a poll up. It's mystery packs.
yeah.
We're doing mystery packs, right? So yeah.
Just all mystery packs. So how
I think
how long are you gonna go
yeah.
for tomorrow? You got a whole? Do you have enough to? Do you have a time frame where you go? I'm going to go for 3 hours, 2 hours, or until I run out of product? Is that your idea? Is that your game plan or?
I think I set like 2 hours is the goal.
Yeah.
And whatever happens, like I'm not gonna, if we're 2 hours in and it's going crazy, and we want to do something more, I'm like it's a rubber arm. You'll be able to convince me, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I feel like I've got a bracket of time that I'm happy with, and what I deliver on, and like we've got a lot of mystery packs in the drawer of degeneracy, but I'm not going to rip into all of them, right? So it's like I think I have a plan in my head of a battle between like Volt's mystery packs and Rev's mystery packs. That's going to be like the main event for the video.
Oh
We'll
yeah.
probably warm up with something, maybe rip like a Japanese booster box or something as a warm up. And then once we've done the battle, maybe I go a little bit overboard and rip one extra or something. And then maybe I put a poll up to everyone and say, what do we rip next? Do you know what I mean?
And then the heavy base sets come out. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the
Never
snowball
leave it up
effect,
to them.
exactly.
Never leave it up to the.
No,
Never
no.
leave it up to
That
them.
won't be an option in the poll, Joel.
Don't
That
make
will
it
not
option.
be
I was
an
gonna say, don't do that. Don't make it option. That's awesome, mate. That's killer.
Yeah.
The Poker Rev and the Poker Vault packs. How many of them do you have?
Yeah.
Are they worth it? I haven't actually even checked what there is in these days, eh? I know Poker Rev did a video because he got. Remember, everyone was grilling Poker Rev a few months back. Did you see that? Everyone was grilling him.
Yeah, warranted. No offense to him, but warranted.
Why? What was your?
I think the most recent run of Rev packs are tough from a dollar perspective.
Yeah.
Right? It's tough.
Is that just
to
because
get,
we're
like,
Aussies though? Is it just because we're Aussies and the?
Definitely worse for us. So
Okay, yeah.
definitely worse for us because you need to add shipping, right?
Yeah.
So you buy one mystery pack from Rev to get sent over here. That is never going to be worth it because the amount of shipping you pay to Australia, right? But if you bought 10, sure, then you divide that across the 10, it becomes a little bit more affordable. But who has all the money to throw at buying 10 mystery packs whenever they buy them, right? That's not really conceivable. So I think he copped a lot of flack because he's got some cheaper Skull and Violet era packs in there, Pogo, stuff like that in there. So like outside of you getting a higher tier, you're never going to get close to your money. Never, right? And what people need to understand is like, if you're not buying these for entertainment value, you're at fault, not Rev. It's not Rev's fault. Like, you don't buy these to make money. That's just dumb. If you're thinking that you're doing that, then you're at fault for buying the product, right? And I say it in any of my mystery pack videos. I'm like, take these for entertainment value. Chase the dream of getting a gold tier or getting a rainbow or getting a throwback or any of those things. Like that's what you're paying for, and you're supporting a content creator at the same time. So do I think Rev's done anything wrong? Hell no. Like it's the people who buy it with the wrong intentions that are doing things wrong here. So
it is.
Do I think they're worth it? Probably not. Like
that's where I sort of stopped because I did a little bit of the mystery box thing for a bit. I never opened any on the channel, if I'm being completely honest, but like in my spare time, you go to shows, mates have them, they're always fun, but it must be freaking hard, like, to try and make them have value. Like, that's all I always think. I always feel, that's not the right word to feel, but like, it is hard to make them. Imagine you sitting there and you go, okay, I want to sell this for $50, okay? Well, I've got to try and give it $50 worth of value. Well, then I lose money. You lose money if you try and make it like that. So you can't do it. You can't do it anyway. It's one thing. So, and obviously he's just a big guy. He's got the name, so everyone's going to rip on him no matter what. Yeah,
it's a way of supporting him, right? And he's
You're
got
right.
that bigger community that they do. Like his stuff sells out still, regardless of whether it's worth it or not worth it. People are happy to support and pay a premium for it, right? And off the back of what you said, like Danny Phantom did his mystery product, right? That he ran that at a loss.
Yeah,
but he was giving away crazy mystery packs, right?
Yeah.
Like there is that, like, some people who want to do it for that right reason, and it's tough, like, because you're going to cop so much flack for doing it because people are like, oh, this is a rip-off, and it's like, nah, like, do the maths. You want to break down a booster box of base set and split that across, like, however many mystery packs that makes. If it's 1 in 25, then it's the 36 packs times 25. That's a lot of mystery packs that only 36 have a base set pack in it, right? So it's like, that's 20k of product that he's just thrown into those mystery packs. You divide it out across all of them. It needs to make mathematical sense. He's not a charity. He's not going to do this for a loss, right? Like
time and effort too. Yeah, like I don't know how much he does. He could probably tell someone in the background to do it, but I would doubt that most people who sell mystery packs make. I reckon most of them don't even make $10. Not even, like,
margins would be low
five.
unless
It'd
you're
be
ripping
5.
people off. Margins would be low.
100%. Yeah, I've unfortunately had some. I'm not gonna call them out, but I've had some fucking shit mystery boxes. I had one once. How much did I pay? I remember just skitzing it. I feel like it was like $30-$40. I'm not even joking. It was like a pack of Fusion Strike, a pack of something else, Sword and Shield, and then I think it was like a VMAX. Oh. And I remember just going, like, that was like the chase card, in there, like the hit card. And I remember going, this is like $15 at max worth of stuff. And I remember thinking, this is a straight up scam. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say who they are because
No,
I
but
think they
those
fixed
are
up
the
since
stuff.
then. I think they've definitely fixed up since then, so I'm not gonna call them out. But I was
I feel like
pissed.
it'd be such a hard. I feel like it'd be such a hard industry to try and make a name for yourself in.
Hmm.
And like, I don't know if you caught that. Like, I do that many videos. I don't expect you to have caught it, but there was a mystery pack opened recently, PokeGalaxy TCG, right?
Yeah.
And like these guys reached out to me. I stumbled across them, and we like decided to make a video with their mystery packs. And they're pretty much running at a loss for these
Hmm.
mystery packs because it was crazy the value of packs you'd get out of it. Like, it didn't
Yeah.
make sense. Like, you compare that to one of these ones that is making money, and you're like, it's in comparison, like they had a minimum guarantee of a Sun and Moon era pack and older. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And it's like +5 Sword and Shield packs in there. It's like for the same value, actually less value cost than a Rev or a Vault pack.
Yeah. It's
Like,
hard to do. Like I don't know how people do it. Like the only ways I've ever seen it really have real value, which even still it's similar but harder, but not really, if that makes sense. When they have slabs in there. If you have a slab,
Yeah.
a graded slab, because that one to me makes more sense because you can go 2 packs in a slab and then you go and then one in these 20 packs has like the alt art something or the a 10 PSA Giratina, because then you can go, oh well, at least then you're kind of gambling on getting the chase. You're not necessarily gambling on getting a pack, because even if you get like the vintage pack, you still rip it. It's still worth nothing. You know what I mean? Like that's
yeah, the gamble within the gamble rather
Yeah.
than just like the gamble for a slab, right?
Yeah.
And I get it. Like, even if they're like $100 mystery pack and you get a slab in it and you pull it and it's like, I don't know, a Venusaur from Celebrations or something like that, but it's only a PSA 8, so it's not worth much from a dollar sense, but it's a cool slab. Do you know what I mean? So people are
Yeah.
like, oh, I don't care that this is like sub $50 in value and I just torched $50. It's like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like,
You feel like you got the better deal. And I think even from shops as well, they actually prefer doing it that way too, because it moves a lot of the slow moving slabs, So,
it helps them cycle some stuff.
yeah, like, and you can see that happens, you're like, oh, sick, a PSA 10, VMAX card, but you're like, well, I can't argue it's a 10. It's probably worth whatever it costs to grade at $40. There's my money.
Grading value.
And they just traded it, they got $10, they paid $10 for it at some point. So you can't really win. So I feel like the slab ones, when I get them now, it's usually slab mystery boxes. If it's just a pack and the chance of because the other thing is too, I'm the same, yeah. Like if I pull a mystery pack and it's got a freaking whatever, what's in it, I'm still gonna rip it right then and there. I'm not gonna,
right?
yeah, right. I'm not gonna hold that and invest it. I'm like, nah, that's getting ripped right here, right now.
You're like, I paid $50 for this mystery pack. It's getting ripped.
Yeah, 100%. The last one we had was we did the at Midnight Traders. We got Troll Oz. Shout out to Troll Oz. They had the mystery pack, same thing. One in every something pack has this era, blah 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 blah, and it was a team up pack, yeah. And
That's sick.
yeah, me and Swansea, I think we're ripping it, and then we're like, oh, we're just gonna rip it now. Just rip it, just do it. Like, don't even think about it. Just go for it. Getting the Latios didn't happen, obviously. But
Nah, the boys at Troll Oz are good. They're good people.
Yeah, how many of them have you ripped?
Not as many as I wanted, because when they brought them out, I'd literally just forked out a bunch on other mystery packs, and then by the time I had my budget back for this type of stuff, they had sold out, right? So the next print run, I'll get some more.
Yeah, nice. I want to jump way back to before, because I kind of just remembered now. I was supposed to ask this question ago. You said you had a bunch of cards ready to grade, but you haven't graded them, and you said you don't sell anything. Why is that? And how have you not? Or is it just a time thing? Or is it just a can't let go thing?
Yeah, a bit of both, but probably more so the latter, as much as I wouldn't want to admit it, right? Like, I'm just so bad at letting go of things, right? And I have all these grand ideas of the best way to do it, right? Like, as I said, the grading pile's just gotten so big because I'm like, I'll grade it, and then I can use it as giveaways in the videos. I can use it to give monthly giveaways. I can sell some of them. I can do all of this and, make videos out of them. But I definitely, and like, I wanted to, it's a tough one because I don't know how to do it right? But I wanted to like create my own store so that I could sell the singles on there, right? But then you get into the whole complex world of ABN and, making a business around it. Then you need like quality assurance to make sure that you're not having issues and shipping that out. How do you do that most effectively? Where do I find the time to build the website, to do this, to do that? So it's like I have all these ideas of the ways that I want to do it. Um, I do have an avenue to sell them through eBay at the moment in a store that does very well,
Oh yeah.
but I'm just against giving up 13% to eBay when I could sell them myself and not give up the 13%,
Yeah.
which is so dumb considering I sell nothing, right? So it's
Yeah.
like,
That you gotta kind
yeah,
of get over that as well. Like I was the same for a
yeah,
long time. I didn't sell nothing for like a year, and then it was the same thing where it's like I have a place at like a market, and they take. It sounds like a lot, but it was actually really good value at the time. It was like 200 a month
yeah,
just to have a stall, like a cabinet, and then it was
gotcha.
10% of all sales. So
Not
I'm
bad.
like, oh, that's a lot of money. But then when you stop and think about it, you go, well, if I had a store, I have to pay bills, this and all the shit, you know. This is just straight up 200. That's all you pay, and then
Yeah.
and hope you sell shit. And the first month I made $1,000, and I was like, it's pretty freaking good. I
Good.
sold a bunch of pops, bunch of that. But the eBay thing sounds like a lot of money, but once you realize, well, if you're selling a bunch of shit, you know, and like you say, you've got a bunch of stuff there. Obviously, you know, I had like 5 binders worth of shit to sell, and I was like,
Yeah.
I need to start getting rid of this. I'm getting no money while it sits in there, you know.
Yeah.
So I've kind of got to push it back in. So the eBay thing takes time too, though. It's another time thing. You sort of sit there and go, shit, like the time I spend buying, selling, you know, setting up, you know, when do I get time to edit, actually record videos? Like,
Yeah. So the eBay option,
it's
I
the
would
worst
do
hobby
similar-
ever. I'll just say that out loud.
if people think it's an easy way to make money, they're delusional, right? Because it's not. But
It's
the eBay option is similar to the store one that you mentioned, right? Like
yeah.
I'm not doing the effort of selling, right? So I'd just be taking the tax of
Oh,
selling,
yeah.
right? But yeah, it's tough. I really should do more in that area. It's just like I've been fortunate enough with the collection I've built for it not to be a problem,
Yeah.
which is dumb because it is a problem, right? Like
Yeah.
it's something that I don't know how I'm going to get on top of it. Like I'll need to invest time, and I will eventually. But it's like, yeah, I just, it's an avenue that I keep on pushing to the back and just continuing and trucking forward,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah. Well, do you collect sets? Do you collect, or do you just collect single
master
cards now?
sets.
Yeah, like you a master set binder guy. Do you go to all this effort to rip all this stuff and then put them in your binders, or do you just go, nah, keep the hits?
Gone are the days of me master setting. So,
Okay, yeah.
I used to do it a lot. Probably stopped at Crown Zenith. I had funny story. If you know the channel, you know that I absolutely love Mewtwo, and I've never like I own the card, but I've never been able to pull the English Mewtwo from Crown Zenith, right? The big
Yep.
Galarian Gallery Mewtwo. I've opened over 2,000 probably now packs of Crown Zenith, right? And
Yeah.
I've never pulled that Mewtwo. I have probably 5 master sets of Crown Zenith,
Yeah.
and I've never pulled the Mewtwo. Do you know what I mean? So it's like,
Yeah.
so 5 master sets minus the Mewtwo in 4 of them.
That's
Because I
hilarious.
bought it right in one, right?
Yeah.
So I that's probably the end of my master setting was Crown Zenith when I went really hard on that one. There's plenty of sets that I do have master sets of. In folders, all of them? No, not necessarily. And that's when I went that had that bipolar effect of like not focusing on one part of the collecting of Pokemon, right? And I stepped it up to the world of going, why master a set? I'll master a set in a PSA 10 slab. Do you know what I mean? So it's like this new challenge that I leveled up. So rather than like master sets, I probably chase more so like a goal that I have right now that I've just added to the list is I want a PSA 10 of every single Master Ball from Japanese 151, right? So
That's super. Yeah. Like,
it's way more specific,
Yeah.
I guess, what I try to master now rather than in the past.
that's a massive thing to try. The Master Ball. That's got to
Yeah.
be like one of the most expensive things you'll try and do. Yeah. That's
I think
because some of
I
them.
saw one sell the other day, a full collection of PSA 10 Master Balls in Japanese sold for like 7K, I think the other day.
Jeez. Makes me sick. It makes me sick. This is cardboard. Like,
That's PSA 10 graded cardboard,
oh,
Jolie.
yeah, I know. I always gotta like stop myself. I always say that like it sounds like a lot, but then I actually sit there and go, listen, Joel, like, what do you mean? Like I've got piles of cards literally next to me. Like, piles of just like,
Yeah.
and that's just reverse hollows that I've sorted. I'm going, the amount of time and effort and waste I've put into that. I've definitely put more than 7K into like, cards.
Yeah.
It's gross.
The bulk side of things is like,
I was going to ask you what you do with your bulk because you must have so
oh
much.
man, like uh, bulk is tough. Like
Do you even
I've
sort
done
it?
everything with it. Like I've stored portions of some. I've donated some. I've given away some. I've like it's unfortunate. Like if I had behind me still from the live, like just mountains of it, right? And I have just put it around the corner from now. But again, like I don't know how those people who are the ones that buy bulk in bulk
Yeah.
and put it up on like TCG Player and eBay and stuff like that. And we're talking like I'm not talking like big cards. It's like as you said, the commons, the
Yeah,
uncommons,
literally
the
the
reverse
bulk. Yeah.
hollows, the stuff that's worth like a couple of bucks, right? But are they smart? Like, I don't know. You need to find this methodology or this mechanical system where you can do that in speed because they're buying like Rev Hollows for like 8 cents or like 4 cents, right?
Yeah.
In bulk, in thousands, right? And then they're selling them on these sites for like $1.50, $2, right? Stuff like that. So that markup, that margin's huge.
Yeah.
But it's the time that's invested in it, right?
Mm.
So if you spend 50 hours of your time sorting through 1,000 cards of bulk, how's that equate when you do sell it, right?
Yeah.
So shout out to those people because that must be a freaking grind.
I had a mate offer me $30 for a 4x4 row big thing of just bulk, pure bulk.
Yeah.
And that was sort of the going rate. It's like, that's what it's worth. I'm like, well, when I was sorting it, it was me and my missus both pulling out the Rev hollows and the hollows, sorting it out that way. And I was like, and that still took too long. I was like, that's not worth $30 of my time, I make more going to work for an hour than I did on that. I'm like, so I'm in a situation now, I've got it all lined up. I've got reverse hollows. I have hollows. It's making me sick. Like I've got hollows in a bunch of empty ETBs. Like I don't even know what to do with them now. I'm like, because I was selling them. So the reason I did that was actually, sorry, I'll cut back. When I had the case at the market that I was selling, I used to put all the hollows, no matter what it was, I didn't even like check what it was. Yeah, just dollar sticker on it, threw it in the cabinet, and had like a whole bunch of just cut in half ETBs. People could see that they were hollows, and people would buy them. Like I would sell heaps of those. Just
People master setting, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
they go through.
They'll pay $1 for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and if they know it's like $1, they don't have to think about it. It's right there.
Yeah.
And then I even threw in ones I knew were a bit. Sometimes the hollow it might be like a bit more. I threw in a few of them too. And I know I could probably get like $2-3 if I tried to sell it separately, but it's like.
Yeah.
Just make it $1, put it in the pile. People buy a bunch, and like the pile used to go down. Like it would just slowly over the weeks. I spat a lot just then. I think I saw that on camera, but that was weird.
That's all good.
That was on camera. I just literally spat, and I saw it on camera. It was gross. And people used to buy like that. But that was my quickest way of selling that kind of bulk. But I was still stuck with Rev Hollows and Commons. Now I've got boxes of it, and I don't sort it anymore. I literally just put it in the box, and just hopefully one day I can just go, hey, $20, take all this bulk off me.
And that's what you like, as you said, it's the time for money thing. It's like what value do you put on your time? And like that's something that I think is so important to have that mentality because like
so many people don't have that.
You need to have that mentality.
Yeah.
I say it to the missus all the time when she's like, I bought this on sale and it was $100. I got it for $50, for example. And I'm like, yeah, but you spent 3 hours of your time saving that $50.
Yeah.
But she's like, nah, but this is like enjoyment for me. And I'm like, okay, well, if it's like your downtime, then that's fine. But that whole value of time thing is like, you can do creative things with bulk. You can like put together the full master set of like commons, uncommons, rev hollows, and hollows. And that's like, you'll have that in your bulk if you have enough of it. And then you can sell that probably for a good dollar value. But as you said, it's like, how much time do you spend doing that sorting, right? Unless you're like a freak that's got like a mechanical system of like, you can do it super quick. It's not worth it.
Yeah, I stopped doing a lot of that a while ago. Like, and that's why I stopped master setting, because it was the time thing. I'd be sitting there at night, trying making videos and just, sorting shit. And in my head, I'm like, it's taken me 2 hours to sort this shit. Or I could have spent 2 hours learning a new skill on how to edit. I could have, you know, and like I've done that a lot this year. I've cut back on a lot of the behind the scenes crap because there's a lot more behind the scenes than, listen, sitting down at a microphone is the easiest thing you'll ever do. You just sit there, chat, bang, ripping packs, bang, fine, yeah? It's cleaning up the packs on the ground. It's sorting all the stuff. And especially if you're master setting, I'm going, oh, crap, you know. I spent the other day frigging went through 6 booster boxes of Obsidian Flames that I ripped last year, which I've had that, looking for a reverse hollow of a Trevenant, you know. And I didn't find one, by the way. Like, I had to buy one. Shout out to Jira Cards. Yeah, right? So I remember sitting there going, this is why I stopped collecting sets, because I haven't collected a set in a while. I was like, because it took me so long sorting through this shit. I'm like thinking, nah, this isn't worth my time. I could be sitting there watching a movie with the kids. I could be like hanging out with the missus. I'm just like, nah, this is... So a lot of the stuff behind the scenes now, I've just cut down completely. And that's the one thing I have liked. I've taken a break from lives, doing live openings. It's been great. It's been great. I love it. Like, I miss it so bad, but my office is always clean now. There's not shit everywhere. It's like, it's the best. So, but I'll get back to it soon. But
nah, man, it's like, as you said, it's just a balancing act. It's
so
all
fun.
a balancing act.
It's still
right?
so fun.
It's like, and that's why we do it. It's why we return, man. It's for the chase. It's for the enjoyment of it. But yeah, it's a balancing act between. You know, you always just wish you had more time, right? It's like if you had more time, you could do everything you wanted to do.
Yeah,
like,
100%, 100%. I don't know if I've covered everything. Have I covered everything? I'm very bad at I'm very poor planning.
That's all right.
We're talking for an hour and a half. That's good effort. That's good work, bro.
That's good.
Is there anything you want to add? Is there anything you want to say?
I
was just sorry to cut you off. I was gonna say, this is gonna sound really funny and weird, but like, you're a very good looking bloke. So it actually surprises me because like let's talk behind the scenes. People like go, what if he reveals himself and he's like weird? Like, it's like,
thank you, Jolly. I really appreciate it. No, thank you, my friend. Look, I appreciate it, man. So there were some of the funniest comments in the live when we did the face reveal.
Yeah.
And like, I just laughed at one of them. There was like, someone wrote in the thing. They're just like, I removed the Pac-Man thing and I noticed the comment. And I had to like stop from laughing. He's just like, and he's straight out of a Disney movie. And I was just like, I was like, no.
That's a good one. I like it. You would make a very great Pixar character. I'm just gonna say.
A few people had a laugh out of it and screenshot it and sent it to me. So yeah,
that's pretty good.
We had a bit of fun.
That's mad, bro. Well, I'm hoping you do a lot more lives. I'm hoping you keep doing what you're doing. Do you want to give yourself a quick plug?
I mean, yeah, like I love the Aussie community and really appreciate, Joel, you having me on the podcast. And, you know, found my exit. We've got the face cam. We're doing more lives now. We'll hopefully continue rolling on to that 10K where we're going to rip into, I just announced it, a Fire Red Leaf Green EX booster pack, heavy, guaranteed heavy. So in all likelihood, it could have an EX in it. So that's the next big milestone. We'll have probably plenty of other celebrations between then and now. But
was that 10K, you said?
Yeah, 10K is the goal.
That's like 2 months away, mate. That's only a month or two away.
2 months away. I mean, who knows? Who knows? And as I said, the community is just freaking awesome, man. They're the ones that shock me day in, day out, and probably a big driving force behind like consistency and the content itself.
Well, you've done damn good at being consistent. You've done better than most people, I think, at being consistent. 3 videos a week. What days do your videos come out?
So, it is Thursday, Monday, Saturday Aussie time in the middle of the night, if that makes sense. Yep. But for the US and the rest of the world, it's kind of just Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. Yeah.
You heard it here first. He doesn't care about the Aussies, okay? He doesn't care about yous. He's all about the international money now, eh?
Aussies can watch it when they wake up, okay?
Yeah. Eat it when you're having your cereal in the morning, all right?
Yeah. Or the people who are up in the middle of the night, like me editing.
Yeah, yeah. All right, bro. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm always bad at these sign outs, so if you've got a really cool sign out, do one now.
Thank you for having me, Jolie. And what better way to sign out than a bit of a waka 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 waka, right?
Waka 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 waka.